We are live. Great. This is good. Okay. Sarah just joined in. Hello, Joy. Yes. Okay. Go live with Sarah. I'm going live with Sarah now. I hope it works. We are telling you colors. Oh!
That wasn't so painful.
Yeah, that was so easy. That was so easy.
I feel like I need to sit on a book or something. I'm very low down.
I feel the same. I feel the same way.
It's such a tiny little box for such a very big forehead. I don't think I'm going to get on very well with this.
Honestly. I feel you. How are you, Sarah? Oh my God.
I'm great. Oh, hello. Oh, look, Joy's here. Demalola's hello.
Woo!
Hi, everyone.
Women.
Thanks for joining us for our party.
Yeah, welcome to our party. We just hanging out.
I should have bought some cake. Like, seriously, I forgot the cake. I do have tea.
My dear.
I've got lemongrass tea, and it's delicious.
Wow. Lemongrass tea. Okay. I'll try it some other time.
Yeah. The good girl always drank wine, but she's not here anymore.
I had a funny experience with wine. Like,
oh God. How long have you got? Because I've got many experiences with wine.
Yeah. I had wine and I knew that this is not the thing because it was like, my stomach turned into noodles. It was horrible. It was horrible.
You just needed training. You just needed training from an English girl who was drinking wine from the age of 14. I could have coached you through this, right?
Where were you when I needed a coach? Where were you, Sarah?
Oh my God, I don't even want to think about where I was. Let's just talk about where we are now.
I love where we are now. I feel like I'm a little low. I'm so short.
I know, me too. I'm like in this, it's really strange.
Thank you, beautiful women, beautiful men who are joining us today. Woo! From Sarah's world, from my world. Thank you. This is so divine. This is so beautiful.
Just turning the volume up.
Okay. Yeah, are you saying I should scream? Because I could.
No, it's really okay. I turned my volume up, so it's all good. We're good.
Oh, okay. Yes. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our money medicine space. This is a safe space to be talking about everything abundance, everything that is in alignment with God, with money, with love, with healing. It is a safe and sacred space, but what makes it more beautiful, more safe is, for example, today having a beautiful woman like Sarah. So thank you for joining us, Sarah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I really love that you're here. Sarah is a transformational coach. She's a guide who's really here to hold safe space for women like me, women like you, who are ready to really free themselves from their pain and unleash the truth, right? She's obviously going to say more about herself, but yeah, she's also a lover of animals and a drinker of wine.
No, not anymore. Let's correct that.
Anymore.
I drank enough wine in my life to last all the rest of the lifetimes I might have. No more wine for me. We're done. We're done with the alcohol. It was enough.
If it was summer, it's done. It's cleared. It's deleted.
I have no judgment on anyone else, but seriously, anybody that knows me up until the age of 36, I just saw my friend Marie join. She knows Sarah, the wine drinker, and I don't think that she was a very nice person. So, not Marie, Sarah the wine drinker.
But we love her still. She was where she was, and
I know, right?
Right? And
Yeah.
here you are, Sarah. Yeah, welcome to the Money Medicine Space. Please do share about you, a little bit about you, and probably just your journey, your being here, your becoming. Yeah.
Really? Like, how long have you got? Because it's a long journey.
Yeah, a few lines that you right now.
How to like sum it up? Yeah. It was quite funny because when you were like introducing me and saying Sarah is a transformational coach and a guide, and I just, you know, what really resonates more is like I have to write that because I hope that the people that need my assistance and me to hold space for them will be able to find me by me using such terms to describe myself, right? But essentially, you know, I'm just this human who's just trying to work it out on this earth. And up until the age of 36, I was totally lost. Oh my gosh, you know, my heart is like speaking to me as I just say that, because my heart is moving. Like I suffered so much. And it wasn't until the age of 36 that it was almost like something within me woke up, my true self woke up and wanted to be unleashed, because I was dying. I may have looked like I had all of my life together. I made sure that I got a really glamorous job. I worked for a magazine. I worked in sales. And sometimes I flew to like America, which I always used to make sure that people knew about, because, you know, that, you know, that fulfilled my, my insecure need to be accepted and to be seen as living this glamorous lifestyle, that I had it all together. Oh my God, but I felt like, if I'm being really honest, like I just felt like a child. And it was a really bizarre feeling for me, because at 36, I could see like all my friends had, like a lot of my friends had settled down and had children. And I was still just getting drunk, like many times a week. You know, sometimes on a Friday, I used to have such a stressful week at work. I used to get a bottle of Prosecco on the way home, and I drink that in about 2 hours by the time my husband came home. Then I might have another like bottle of wine with him. And then Saturday would be drinking. I was also smoking a lot. I was just living a life very, very fast and with no idea of how it felt. I didn't have a sense of, my emotions, or I was just working and then having fun. I was always the funny one, you know, and I always made sure that everybody felt comfortable in the room. But, you know, that's not really truth, because what's more true is that I was the funny one, and I used to make sure everybody else felt comfortable, because I didn't.
Wow. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I was living my whole life from how others reacted to me. So I didn't really have a sense of who I was or what I wanted. It was just all about, how are they looking at me? What are they saying to me? Do I look like I'm pleasing them, making them laugh? Are they warming up to me? It was all about their reactions to me. I had no idea where I was in this. And then, oh my God, the journey. And then at 36, I woke up. It happened very suddenly. So for me, I had a spiritual awakening. I think it's becoming more well known now, but I would describe it like an energy awoken me, and this energy is called Kundalini energy. And yogis will spend like a lifetime to prepare themselves to have like this awakening, which is supposed to be a very blissful experience. But in my case, I hadn't done any training. I didn't know what Kundalini was. I had a very unhealthy body, a very unhealthy mind, a very unhealthy lifestyle. So when this happened to me, it was like the biggest shitstorm you could imagine. Like, seriously, that's how I would describe it. But it was also blissful.
Yeah.
Because I connected with my soul, and I connected with my truth for the first time. But in my kind of in the world where I was living, in this fast Western, you know, European centric lifestyle, I had no context for what happened to me. I needed like a doula to help me birth my soul, but there was no one. Yeah, I had no one. It was a very, very difficult process for me to, and lots and lots of research for me to discover what had happened. It took me back to, you know, deeply investigating what my mum's childhood was like.
Yeah. What
my dad's childhood was like. And then you can go back, you know, looking at my ancestry, looking at who I was as a result of these different energies, and finding out who I was in this as an independent being, not with all of these messy entanglements and passed on woundedness from my ancestors. So yeah, the journey's just, and of course the journey's like going on and on and on, and it's just I think just a daily deepening, a daily layer coming off of my conditioned self, and and living the journey. You know, I've also like stopped expecting there to be a destination of when I'm finally going to be the most confident and the most in my power and and it's like, no, this is it. It's like, this moment is perfect. We're exactly where we need to be. And this is very freeing as well. Another way of freeing myself.
Yeah. Wow. Sarah, I connect with you in so many ways. Like, one of the things that draws my soul to yours is how you're so connected with your truth. It's how your journey is so relatable. Like, as you're saying this, as you're just describing your entire journey before, you know, your awakening at 36, how you were the type of young woman who would make everyone comfortable, you know, while you were uncomfortable. How for you it was, I also see it as more like sometimes performing a role that you know that this is not your true you, and your journey leading you, you know, and your journey leading you to awaken, your soul awakening to say, hey, can we go within? Can we slow down and begin to connect with our truth? I feel like you are just the perfect person, you know, to be talking to today, as we're talking about healing the good girl, you know, healing the aspect of you that is the good girl in order to access our truth. And I'm able to connect with you because I also have almost a similar journey, but of course the events were different, right? Where I found that for me, it was, I most of the time, from my upbringing, I entered this world and my parents, my caretakers, my community began to tell me who I am before I could discover it. And I imprinted that. Like, I began to play that role. I also began to perform that role. And that looked like not speaking out my truth, saying what I feel needs to be heard by others, you know. I relate to the funny girl because I laugh a lot, you know. You and I laugh a lot.
We do, but it's different. It's coming from our soul, not because we're feeling like we're forced to perform.
Yeah. So the laughter would be there as well, while the whole time for me, I was really struggling with anxiety. Like it was killing me. And I didn't have the words for it. We go through these things at times and we just don't have the words for it. We don't have the words like, I am not okay.
Right.
I'm anxious. I feel
But
really anxious.
did you know that did you even know you had anxiety? Or did you just feel different physical sensations?
I did not know I had anxiety
Right.
until I was 26.
Right.
I just knew I had this emotion. I didn't even know if it was emotion because my heart would beat fast. I would sometimes shake. My own stomach would turn against me like it would be in a war. I did not have the words for what I was going through, but I
Yes.
felt disconnected to myself. What was important for me the whole time was that I have to stay in my lane. I have to hold myself together. I have to do the right thing, which is do what other people are telling me, do what my parents are telling me, shape my life in the form that is expected of me, right?
So you denied
So
everything going on with your body.
sorry?
So you denied all these things going on in your body and you just put on a front.
Absolutely. This is why I'm like, I know the good girl because I was so there. Like, I just, I lived outside my body, but my body was the one which was taking all on the suffering for me, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, how I got to realize that, oh my God, yeah, something needs to break. I think God, universe, and my soul, we co created a huge event in my life, which I will get into. Yeah.
That sounds juicy.
It is juicy. I am here. Yeah, and I know
We
that
need
we're
this
all
juice.
definitely. Okay, yeah, so I'll just jump into it and then you can share as well. So this is basically how I really got to connect with the aspect of me that I felt like, oh my God, yes, the good girl is me and I'm her, and there are ways that I see myself having to perform my life in a way that is expected. So for me, Sarah, she showed up first in how, yeah, as a student. She showed up as a student. I was a straight A student most of the time, and I would beat myself up if I don't get anything right. So I was the girl who always had to get everything right. But here's the funny thing. Although I was always trying to be good, I never really felt good enough, right? So it was a constant battle of, yeah, being good, wanting everything to be perfect, wanting to get everything right. It got to a point where, yeah, even after, like, when I finished my high school, right, at that point you're supposed to be now figuring out what you're going to be studying, right? So what are you going to be studying? What is the career path that you're choosing? And for me, without even thinking about it, I just knew that I'm going to study sciences. And how I knew it was because my parents or my society had always given me the impression that, a brilliant student studies sciences or becomes a lawyer, something related to sciences. I just knew that it had to be. And I went on and did that. And I had the worst time of my life. I was dying a slow death.
Yeah.
My soul was in so much pain, Sarah. I would cry even when I'm reading. Like, this would be my textbook, and I'd literally just be crying. It was such a painful phase of my life. And the shame, I could even feel that right now. I'm able to see that in that timeline, there was so much shame around having to say, I do not have it all figured out, you
Right.
know? Yeah, I had to just keep holding on. And that really affected my body. That affected my womb as well, because yeah, I would have really, really painful cramps when it's that time of the month.
Yeah.
So the anxiety was literally sky roof, because we're like, you are doing something that is not your truth, right?
Can I
You are,
ask you something?
yeah.
What did you do to help yourself at that point? So, for instance, I can totally relate to what you're saying.
Mm,
And I went the other way. So I would drink. I would
mm,
go out all the time, get drunk. I went
yeah.
out clubbing a lot. I would meet different men. For me, I actually slept with a lot of people when I went out clubbing because I was after love. I was after affection. I wanted a feeling of safety and connection that I did not have in myself. But this lack of connection, I didn't know this. But this is what I was doing. I went out drinking and I was just looking for love outside of me all the time in all the wrong places. But what did you do? So you were a straight A student. This is very different from me. So so you obviously were performing and you had to perform. So was there a way that you were able to numb yourself or seek solace? What was that for you?
So for me, what I did most of the time, I would isolate myself. I could sleep all day. Yeah. I remember I would sleep most of the time. I wouldn't hang out with people.
Right.
I would go into self-isolation. But also I see how also I was using my then relationship, which was a long-term relationship, to numb the pain. Like I became very codependent in that relationship.
Yeah.
Where this person becomes my everything, where it's like I'm living my life through them. You know, that favorite ice cream is my favorite ice cream. Whatever it is, you know, I see that as a coping mechanism now, although at the time I didn't.
Right.
You know, just having this codependency and knowing that there is a safe place that I've created in someone else's life where I keep going to access happiness, where I keep going to access any emotion that feels good, because within me, no, there is not that happiness. There is not that happiness, right? Yeah. So I could say that was how I was coping. And yeah, I did crumble. Like after 2 years of doing the science course, which was basically optometry and eye studies, I crashed. I really crashed. And yeah, I had to come back home. I was studying abroad, by the way.
What did crash look? What did it look like? Like what? So you were studying? Weren't you in Cardiff? Is that when you were in Cardiff?
Yes.
In the UK?
Yeah. Yes, I was in Cardiff. I was studying there, and then after 2 years, before I went there, as a way to, I think, also to prepare and qualify for the course, I had to also study 2 years of just general Bachelor of Science. So by the time I'm in Cardiff and I'm studying 2 more years, so I am 4 years into something that is not true for me.
Wow.
You know, 4 years into dying. I then crashed. I could not go on anymore. I flunked all the exams. I think some, but basically, I FD'd out of the course, you know. And I remember at that point in time, I knew that deep down, I'm relieved. Have you ever had something bad or what seems bad happen because everyone else thinks like this is the most horrible thing? But you are like relieved because like they don't know how much I held on to this rope, how much it hurt my hands, that to finally let it go is such a relief. Like it feels like I lost something, but yeah, it may look like that at face value, you know, but to me, I remember feeling that sense of relief. However, there was also that sense of shame, you know, because that is when the good girl literally collapsed, crushed. She said, "Oh my God, I'm not a good girl anymore. I have done everything right except this moment, you know, except this very moment where it looks like now I'm bad. I've done wrong. What? And you can imagine they're feeling like, what is wrong with you, you know?" And feeling that shame and feeling like I disappointed my parents. I disappointed everyone. I look back now and I realize that, yes, that was the best of me.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's so very beautiful.
So I'm switching on the aircon. Please let me know if it makes noise for you, then I'll just switch it off. Because it's so hot here.
Is it?
Yeah, it's so hot.
What's the temperature there?
I don't know. I usually don't check because I just know it's always hot.
It's just hot and here it's cold. I've got like this great big jumper on. No, but I just want to jump into what you said and say that shame that's so conditioned into us. It's a controlling mechanism for us to do what society tells us to do. And you know, from my experience of my own, you know, a lot of people were like, oh, you had a breakdown. That's not my experience. My experience was that my avatar that I created to survive in the world that was not my truth, so my fake self that I constructed, that fulfilled all of the tick boxes of everybody else, my parents, my society, my culture, the world, that wasn't working for me, because it was so not in alignment with who I really was and my truth, that it had to collapse. And I had to come out of that, like the phoenix, you know, coming out of the ashes. So when people in the Western world talk of breakdowns, burnouts, I see it as, that's your fake self dissolving. It's not working anymore. Now you have a chance to be who you really are. And this is when the work starts. This is when the journey into the self becomes very magical. And that's when the shame disappears, because the shame is only there because it's just a fake construct which is keeping you a prisoner in a life that doesn't suit you. And when you realize that the fake self that you created to survive in this kind of world, when you realize that you know, the personality dysfunctions that you might have may have caused you or others pain, and you have shame because of that, when you realize that it wasn't your fault, you were just trying to survive, when you can start having compassion for your childhood and for the little you that was just trying to survive in this big hard world, then the shame goes. It goes, because it's not your fault. We've just been doing our best with you know, with wounded parents, with a wounded society, and you know, you just do your best to survive up until the point when you know better, or maybe you have a deeper insight. But that takes time, and it takes something breaking, a catalyst.
I love how you were saying, it was the avatar of you that needed to survive, right? Thank you for saying that. It makes so much sense. The need to survive is there. And I also really resonate with how you were saying sometimes what people call, you know, a breakdown, a burnout, literally that's like that's the magical moment. That's the rebirth. That's where magic is happening. So I am so happy to just be connecting with that and hearing that. It makes so much sense to my soul, you know. So Sarah, in this there is so much happening right now in our current times. I feel like we have moved through a lot as a community, as men and women, as humans, as souls. Every one of us has experienced their own form of trauma. Everyone, the collective experiences from its own form of trauma through COVID. We're still going through that. Our emotional bodies have had to move through a lot, right? Just according to you, how important has it become for us to be accessing what is true, the true self, and to be unleashing that version of ourselves, right?
Well, you know, I think that from my own experience, going through what I did in 2016, I'd say that like the most transformational part of my journey, and where I was probably most ungrounded, was 2016 to 2017, because so much was happening in my inner world. It was shifting, and therefore it was also changing in my outer. I paused. I would try to explain to some people around me what was happening to me, and nobody understood me. So I think what's probably important is that whoever wants to find the truth in themselves will do it. And I don't necessarily believe that everybody will be called at the same time, maybe perhaps not even in this lifetime, because it's also my belief that, you know, we're souls and we have many different lives. This is just, you know, one of them. And for me personally, sorry, my screen keeps going dark. Does it go dark on your side?
Yeah, I keep having to tap on the iPad.
Okay.
Yeah, I keep having to do that. Yeah, but even if it goes dark, you are still visible. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just think that if you're called, you're called. You know, and I think that until we do live in our truth, we suffer a lot. I think that there's a lot of people walking around the planet that are living a life that they didn't choose. Maybe their parents chose it for them. Maybe they haven't actually, you know, individuated from their parents yet. Maybe they're still, they think that they're a mini mother, or they're a mini copy of their father. But we are unique. We're unique, and I don't think that this is really known. You know, I know that a lot of people always used to tell me, "Oh, you're so much like your mum," and my mum died when I was 20, so I actually saw a lot of comfort in that. But then as I was in my mid-30s, I realized that I'd taken on a lot of negative qualities of my mum. I was very angry. I was very frustrated. I felt very taken for granted by people. And so I realized actually that I had, that they weren't me, but I had learned them from my mum. I had learned patterns and behavior from my mother. And those became so ingrained in me that I thought that it was me, but it wasn't. It was just learned behavior. And when I started to work on myself and do inner child work, I realized that I am completely unique in who I am and how I express in the world. But I wasn't given the space to explore that as a child. I don't think many of us were. So we became people pleasers. We became what everybody wanted us to become around us, with no sense of I.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I can totally relate to what you're saying about how at some point it was so important to you. It was very comforting when people told you that you're like your mom, you're like your mom. And then only to realize that this also looks like having even some of her, I don't want to use negative, but lack of a better word, you know, some of
wounds.
yes,
I would
some
say
of wounds. Yes, that's so accurate. Yes, some of her wounds. I'm able to relate to that because I as well used to find it so comforting. So here's the thing. I look like my dad. Now I worked even harder to be like my mom, you know? I wanted to be like mom so much.
Yeah.
So much that if someone by mistake says, "Oh, this is your daughter, she looks like you," I'd be so happy. But mom would be quick to remind them that, "Oh, she actually looks like her dad." And that was so painful for me because I wanted to be like mom so much. And one of the things that made me realize that, oh my God, you know, for me, looking like my mom also had been mapping and really like having similar patterns with her and really working hard to have those and thinking that everything she says is correct and everything she doesn't like means that it's bad. I also won't like it, right? A funny story is one time a friend of mine was so mad at how some lady was talking to her. The lady was screaming and shouting, right? So my friend wouldn't stop bugging about it. Like she was like, that lady, she was so mean. Why did she have to talk to us like that? So she was screaming at both of us, right? She was like, why did she have to talk to us like that? There was a constructive way in which she could have talked to us, right? And so at first I was like, okay, I hear you. And then she kept going on about it. And then I was like, friend, I feel like she genuinely just cares for us. And that's why she was screaming at us, right? And my friend was like, no, that's not how you talk to people. There is a way to talk to people. She could have chosen constructive words. She could have talked in a more soothing and loving way. And this is because for her, this is something that she probably learned at her home.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I realized that the reason why I felt like, honestly, I wasn't even offended by this lady who was screaming and speaking at the loud of her voice, was because my mom, most of the time when we do something wrong, that's how she spoke. So
Yeah.
it was very correct, you know? In my head, it was correct. It was something that was very normal. So sometimes we have these behaviors, these thought patterns where we think this is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that can be because our inner child, like you had said, connects with our parents and feel like, yeah, they are correct. You know, they make sense. They are the perfect example of how things should be done. Mm-hmm. And we take that and we translate that in any part, any area of our lives. This could be our relationships, our careers, you know, our way of life, our daily habits, without even realizing how that is impacting us and those around us. So yeah, I can totally connect with that.
Yeah,
right.
My mum was exactly the same. She used to shout all the time and like and yell, and it become, you know, and also with the relationship that she had with my father was they were always arguing, and they would always argue about money. It was a very difficult thing for me growing up. And it's just so interesting how, you know, with my big love that I'm with now, Hans, we've been together, God, I even forget, I don't know, a long time, like 14 years or so. But, you know, until the age of 36, so until 2016, I didn't realize that unconsciously I was repeating the patterns of behavior that I saw between my parents. I would also argue with him a lot, and it was a very codependent relationship. And I was, you know, because I was insecure and because I didn't know who I was and what I stood for in the world, he needed to be a certain way because I was very fixed on how things should look, how I thought things should be for society, you know. So then you end up, you know, controlling somebody to be a certain way for you, and that doesn't bring freedom. And then that brings the whole question of, is that love then? What is love in our society? Is it a business transaction? So you do this for me, I be this for you, or is love freedom? Yeah, I love that. Love is freedom. Also, you know, within.
Ooh, did this just fall?
I thought you fell off your chair.
No.
Love is freedom.
But that's okay. Yeah. Wow. Yes, Sarah. So we go through this, we begin to realize that all this time we've been surviving. We reach our burnout. We reach that level of everything feels like it's collapsing when everything is actually, you know, magic is happening and rebirth is happening, and the true you now wants to unleash, right?
Yeah. It happens all at the same time. It's like there's this magical order within chaos. And old energy has to be released in order to birth the new. And it's just this, it's the process, right? Yes.
So how did it look like for you to go within now and start accessing what is true, or start, you know, removing the layers of you, or healing the layers and acknowledging and healing the layers of you that you feel like this needs to go, this is not my true self? How did it look like, the journey of now coming within?
I think the most profound experience I had during my talking therapy was a moment that I remember when I first went to see this therapist, and I was just feeling like I was really confused, and I felt like I was in a dark place in my head. Nothing made sense. I hated my job. I was arguing all the time with my husband. I was feeling very taken for granted by lots of friends. I was just really unhappy in the world, and I just felt very like in this tunnel, like this tunnel of what's going on. I didn't understand. And apparently my therapist said this to me after 4 months of me being with her. At the beginning, she said, "What's wrong with you?" And the only thing I could say was, "I just want to kind of go like this." And I put my arms wide, and I just kind of made this position of, it's almost like I was saying, I want everything to come together. I want to come into alignment. But my conscious mind wouldn't have been able to describe that. So I did it with my hands. And after I remember her asking me what my childhood was like. And I said, "Oh yeah, it was amazing. You know, my mum and dad worked really hard. We had a lovely house, a beautiful little cottage that we lived in, and they worked really hard, and they sent us to a really good school. And yeah, it was just really normal." And then fast forward a couple of months, and she was asking me to describe something upsetting that happened in my childhood. And I said, "Oh, well, I do have this memory, and I was like 4, and my mum had hit me really hard on my face. And I remember I had to go to school, and I was putting some water on my face at the tap. And then I remember she knocked one of my little milk teeth out of my mouth because she hit me so hard." And I remember going to school that morning, and we had to sit in a little circle, and then the teacher would read the register, your name. And I remember my name being called out, and I remember being sat there, and I was 4, but I have this memory, and I wanted to tell someone what had happened. But I felt so worried of what would happen to my mum that I didn't. I stayed quiet. And so I realized during the course of my speaking therapy that a lot of the confusion about myself and not loving myself was because my mum was a very confused and wounded woman. She was a beautiful, beautiful hearted woman, but she had her own issues. Her family came from Ireland, deep poverty. They had their religion taken from them, you know, their land, everything. So that's what was in my blood from my mum. And so she was very wounded, and she used to lose her temper. And when she lost her temper, she would take that out on me. It wasn't all the time, but it was enough to. And then sometimes, you know, she would obviously tell me I was beautiful, her little baby, and that she loved me. But it was very confusing because sometimes I was this really good girl, but when I did something that didn't please her, she would hit me and say I was bad, and I would be punished. That's a very confusing thing to happen for a child. And then when you're not in an environment where you can talk about your emotions, when you don't even know what your emotions are, but you're just running from them in your life, that's why you would then, you know, I was clearly insecure, so I took a job that would look like it was really good. I wore clothes that made me look good. I had a boyfriend that made me look good. I had this life that made me look good because what was wrong with me? I felt bad, but I was not connected to that truth and why that was the case. So the therapy and the coaching helped me deeply to understand the truth of my childhood that often get buried in our very busy lives. So sometimes you have to go back, not to pick a wound, you know, and to just, you know, for the sake of picking a wound, but we have to understand why we've become what we are before we can truly be who we are.
Absolutely, absolutely. You say it so beautifully. We have to go back to find out why we are the way we are before we can become who we are. Yeah, Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, as you're saying this, I am able to connect with this aspect of you that felt the need to, you know, to in a way protect mom's reputation. And I see this even within myself with the good girl. One of the things that that I noticed is that at a young age, she begins to mother or to parent her own parent.
Right.
Where you feel responsible for your own parents' emotions, for how they respond to things, you get to become a mother, a nurturer, a wounded nurturer at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can totally relate to this. And this is why even as you move into the world, you know, we begin to then also mother other people, you know, and do the emotional labor of neglecting our emotions, you know, neglecting how we feel, not connecting with our truth, because yes, majority of the time we're feeling bad, we're feeling guilty.
We're just repeating. We're just repeating the pattern. And, you know, it seems like it's very self-sacrificing, but it's not. It's a manipulation because it's like, oh, if I put my attention on them and do this for them, they will accept me.
Exactly.
They will give me attention. They will give me love if I do this. Again, it's like, it's transactional. And that's not real love. I don't think that we've been brought up to know what unconditional love is. A lot of us haven't.
Yes, that's very true. When I was starting to get overwhelmed and just feeling like it's too much, because I think I got up to a point where I knew that I'm going to have to talk to someone, you know, the same way you also felt like you need to go to someone. One of the most powerful and profound things that that my mentor got to say to me, she said, every time your heart breaks, know that your truth lies there. And
that's so beautiful.
Stayed with me. It has stayed with me so much, because how sometimes I'm able to identify my truth will be in chaotic moments, will be in moments where it feels like it's heartbreaking. And another beautiful thing that I have got to learn, that I feel like is so beautiful when you begin the healing journey, of whether it will look like first going to a therapy or a healer, a spiritualist, anyone that can help you return back to yourself. It's so empowering to begin to learn to label and understand the emotion that comes through.
Right.
Because for me, majority of the time I had anxiety, but I only got to know the word anxiety. I remember actually my first therapist before my current mentor now, who's Joy Buhami, my first therapist said, do you know that you were depressed at 13, 14? And it felt like, what? Because I only started knowing such word in my 20s. So what do you mean that I was always depressed?
God, that's so true. We just didn't know.
So learning to understand your emotions, getting to be able to name your emotions is such a powerful thing for you wherever you are. Like, understand this. What I've seen healing do is always remind me to say, so what is this that you are feeling? Because now I'm at a point where I realize that although I spend most of the time having to deal with other people's emotions, I had to do that for myself. So I am busy having to know that, oh, this is anxiety. What you're feeling right now is anxiety. And I'm able to say, oh, I'm anxious. You know, I'm anxious. Sarah, I feel anxious. I'm having a depressive episode, if that's what I'm feeling, you know?
That's really powerful. I can totally relate, because I only realized actually in the last few years that when I was in my busy job, I was in sales working for a magazine, and I had to do lots of business meetings, and I had to go to exhibitions. And always when I was like within business meetings where we were all chit-chatting and having small talk, I would get like a really sweaty face, and I'd get really sweaty armpits. And I would only notice what was on the surface, you know? And so I would go outside, and I used to smoke a lot. So I'd smoke a cigarette so that I'd cool down. But I just wasn't aware that I had anxiety because I was so much in my head. I was so much thinking about what other people thought about me, what I was going to say next, trying to sound intelligent about the company I worked for. Like, seriously, I was so up in my thoughts and in my head. I had no idea what was going on in my emotions. I only noticed the wetness, and then I would feel shame and feel, but now of course I understand it was social anxiety. And being in a job and having to speak to people on a surface level was never me. I found it excruciating because I'm an empath, so I could always feel people, and I wanted to kind of like take off their mask, and I wanted to be like, who are you? What do you enjoy doing? Well, you know, what are your hobbies? But we had to talk about business, and it was killing me because it wasn't me. I didn't give a shit like how much money people made. I wanted to know who they were, what lit them up. I was just totally in the wrong job because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what my gifts were, what my purpose was. So yeah.
You know, as we're talking about emotions, this is something that I have gotten to understand as well. All this time, these emotions, for example, the anxiety, it was information coming through because even your own body, your nervous system was trying to help you.
Yeah.
I remember when I started understanding how to, you know, process my own anxiety, you know, even through breath work, through meditation, I started telling people that for me, anxiety is a soul alarm. Every time I'm anxious, when I feel the emotion coming through, I feel like my soul is pulling me back in to assess, to question, and to be conscious of what is happening.
Right.
I imagine shame is also, although all these are made to be like negative, there's also where they're bringing forth positive emotions.
Absolutely.
Like having shame around something, it's probably an invitation for you to question, what are your views around this, right?
Yeah.
Why are you embarrassed about this? Why does this make you feel uncomfortable, right? What is the shame about, right? So and that's the beautiful part of you know, getting to heal and really learning to listen into your emotions and slowing down to say, who am I and what is my truth? Right?
Yes, absolutely. And I just love everything that you say. And embracing emotions is something that, well, that's just a go-to every single day. You know, putting your feet on the floor, feeling yourself grounded in your body, out of your head, and knowing that safety comes from inside. It's cultivated from inside. Anxiety, it's when you're not feeling safe and when you're not in alignment. So yes, the message of anxiety is like, come back to yourself, embrace this. What's going on? Just breathe. What's happening here? And taking the time to do that. Like we're not, what are we doing? Are we running to our grave? Why are we rushing all the time? You know?
No.
Like, where are we running to? Where are you going?
Exactly. Like, we are under so much pressure, but we created this pressure ourselves. We are in a hurry. We need to slow down. Slow is beautiful. Oh wow, Sarah, I love this conversation. It could go on and on and on.
I know.
Right?
Yes.
It's so beautiful. I just saw a beautiful, beautiful woman. Yeah, I'm seeing that everyone who's here is also enjoying this conversation. Thank you so much, Icon, for saying great listening. Yes. Yeah, Sarah, there's a beautiful message for you here from Paul. Are you able to see that?
Oh, no, hang on.
Oh, okay. So I think it's a he or, yeah. Hello from London. Sarah, do you do shadow work? I have depression and I'm feeling stuck and lost, or sending so much healing energy to you. I'm based in East Sussex. Yeah, I think this would be a good opportunity, Sarah, to just share about how someone can work with you. Yeah, you can do that while you're also answering Paul.
Yeah,
This is so beautiful.
to Paul,
Yeah.
I would just like to invite you to maybe if you want a free chat with me, you can schedule a time on the link in my bio. So please feel free to do that, and we can have a chat about where you're at, and maybe I can help you to move forwards, whatever way that might be, with an appropriate person, if that's myself or somebody else or some books, or just send me a message and we'll see what we can do. And then with regards to how you can work with me, again, I would just invite anybody that that feels called by either of us to just reach out, right? It's like I offer inner child one-on-one coaching, clarity coaching, and I'm just about to release a program in the coming weeks called Unleash Your True Self. And that's going to be a 12-week one-on-one coaching program. But essentially, you know, it's about talking. We're humans. Like, I'm not really a coach. That's just a word so that you can find me. But I'm a human. I've got lived experience of being very far down the hole, and I got my ass out. And I'm here to hold space for you because I know what it's like to be in a hole. And I've got some really good tools where I can help you out. And I've got training, which kind of helps as well. So, yeah. So if you want to reach out, you can send me a message and we'll see whether we can align and what we can do together.
Amazing. And may more and more souls who are aligned with you, with me, may we connect with the souls that right now are seeking, you know, just that safe space to, you know, to do healing, souls that are ready, souls that are feeling drawn. I pray for this alignment. I love that you keep talking about alignment. And Sarah, your heart is beautiful. I believe that your entire journey was an initiation for you to become this powerful God woman who is creating safe space for those who are ready to really heal and unleash that true self and just access that inner power. You know, God is really using you in a beautiful way, and I really celebrate you. I celebrate you as a soul. You are such a beautiful soul.
Oh, thank
Sarah,
you.
I always tell her I love her voice. She's so amazing. You and I connect in the most beautiful ways, and we connected through this journey. So I'm also grateful. I'm grateful to the 26-year-old me who had her like I'm done moment, and I'm grateful to the 36-year-old you who was like, ma'am, this is where I end with
Me
all the
too.
thinking. You know, I'm so grateful to that version
because
of
unless we had those down moments, we would never have even connected. And so there's always magic. There's magic in the madness. There is a gift in the suffering. Just stay with it. Stay with it. Trust your journey. Trust the process. And the light is in you. It's not at the end of the tunnel. You don't have to wait till the end of the tunnel, right?
Powerful, powerful, powerful. The light is in you. It is not at the end of the tunnel. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that, Sarah. That is just beautiful. You are such a blessing.
You too, love. Thank you so much. I've loved this. It's been so fun. Really loved it. I feel like I could just talk all night.
Yeah, this conversation felt like home to us. It felt so beautiful. It felt so divine. Thank you for honoring my invitation, and I look forward to many more meetings with you. Hopefully one day I will be able to meet you physically and touch your beautiful hands.
We definitely will. Next year, 2022. It's got the ring.
Yes, you are definitely coming to Africa, and I'm also going to be visiting.
Oh my God, I just can't wait. Can't wait.
All right, I think, hello. Oh, I think I lost Sarah there, but this is not a bad thing. This conversation was coming to an end anyways. So yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing your soul to be here, to be present. I am going to ask that even if you watch later, please know that yeah, we'll connect with you in spirit. So do hashtag replay and just share with us what comes up for you, the revelation. Share with us your stories. Today was such a vulnerable conversation. It was a truth-telling conversation, because in healing, honestly, you have to access your truth. So yes, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your night, wherever you are. You are beautiful. Always remember that, and you are where you're supposed to be. Like Sarah said, the light is within you. It's not at the end of the tunnel. Mwah! Bye.